The government says these data centers are public use, which is why there are armed guards keeping the public out. This makes perfect sense if you don't think about it, which is the government's preferred method of citizen engagement. I don't own a car. This might become relevant later, but first you need to know that I'm writing this from a motel room in upstate New York, where the air conditioning has been broken for 2 weeks. The owner keeps saying he'll take care of it. This is what people say when they have no intention of taking care of it. I bought a fan. It cost $37 and makes a noise like a small aircraft preparing for takeoff. I got surgery in 6 days to remove the broken, infected wisdom teeth that have been causing extraordinary pain for the last 15 years of my life. And it's not easy to research and write when your dentist refuses to prescribe you anything for the pain beyond over-the-counter aspirin because 10 million homeless people are hooked on Chinese fentanyl, and somehow that has something to do with my situation. Here's what I discovered through that fog of pain. I still figured out how to stop Elon Musk and Peter Thiel from turning America into the dystopian technocratic police state that Elon's grandfather tried to build in the 1930s. The legal argument is sitting right there, waiting to destroy their entire plan. I know how this sounds. Broke journalist in motel with no AC claims he can stop billionaires from doing billionaire things. Next, he'll show you the spreadsheet proving JFK Jr. is still alive and running QAnon from a Waffle House in Tampa. But stick with me, because this is real, and there's a legal argument so simple a 5th grader could deploy it that destroys their entire plan. While sitting in this room that's hot as a sauna, I figured something out. They're stealing people's houses. The government is seizing private homes by force and handing the land to tech corporations who want to build AI data centers. And they're doing it in Georgia. 330 families getting displaced for a $17 billion project called Project Nightingale, which is absolutely a name chosen by someone who read too much dystopian fiction. And Nevada, 49,000 residents around Lake Tahoe losing 75% of their electricity so data centers can have it instead. Also, energy prices jumped 77% since 2022, which I'm sure is completely unrelated. And Utah, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank just got approved for a 40,000-acre data center that's the size of Washington, D.C., and will consume 9 gigawatts when the entire state only uses 4 gigawatts currently. None of this is for roads or schools or hospitals. These are private corporate facilities with armed guards at the gates. Think about what that means. You will be arrested if you approach the fence. And I'm sitting here in my motel room. It's somehow even hotter now. The fan gave up, thinking, if these are public use projects, shouldn't the public be able to use them? That's the whole argument. If it's public use under the 5th Amendment, open the gates, let the public walk in. Let them use the computing resources they're supposedly benefiting from. But they can't, because there are armed guards, because it's a private corporate facility, because you will be arrested. So it's not public use. It's private use, which means the takings violate the Constitution. And nobody in government wants to answer this question, because the answer destroys their entire scheme. Pfizer's vice president sat on the government board that seized homes to give land to Pfizer. Then Pfizer abandoned the project, and the land sat empty. The Supreme Court called this constitutional. I call it exactly what happens when you let corporations write the laws. The test that stops the whole scam. The 5th Amendment says government can only take your property for public use, not public benefit, not economic development, public use. Can you walk into these data centers? Can Georgia residents access Project Nightingale's computing resources? Can Nevada residents use the facilities their electricity is being stolen for? Can Utah residents enter that 40,000-acre compound? No. Armed guards at every gate. Access restricted to corporate employees. Private data processed for private clients. You will be arrested if you approach the fence. So where's the public use? Public roads? Anyone drives on them. Public schools? Kids attend. Public libraries? Anyone walks in. Public parks? Anyone uses them. Private data centers? Armed guards and keep-out signs. The government says job creation and tax revenue count as public benefit, which satisfies public use. By that logic, every Walmart is public use. Every factory, every Taco Bell. If creating jobs justifies seizing property, government can take your house to build anything. That's not what the founders wrote. That's not what 217 years of law meant. Until 2005, when 5 wealthy Supreme Court justices decided words don't mean things anymore. Elon Musk's grandfather was a prominent member of Technocracy Inc., a movement that believed engineers should run society instead of voters. 3 generations later, his grandson is building exactly that infrastructure. What are the odds? Don't answer that. It's rhetorical and also depressing. How Pfizer literally married the government and stole some houses. This whole mess started in 2005 with a case called Kelo v. City of New London. The city wanted to take Suzette Kelo's house to give the land to Pfizer Pharmaceutical. They said it would create jobs and tax revenue. Claire Gaudiani ran the New London Development Corporation, the government body seizing homes. She was married to David Burnett, a Pfizer executive. George Milne, Pfizer's vice president, sat on the Development Corporation's board. So, Pfizer executives controlled the government body, stealing homes to give land to Pfizer. They're building 12,000 new data centers that will consume over 5 million gallons of water per day each. In deserts and places already experiencing water wars, your grandkids will definitely understand why you let this happen. Just kidding, they'll be too busy fighting over the last bottle of Dasani to ask questions. This is like if McDonald's married the zoning commissioner and seized your house for a drive-thru. Except it's real, just with more syllables and a pharmaceutical company. 5 Supreme Court justices said this was fine. Justice Sandra Day O'Connor wrote a dissent, which in Supreme Court terms is like leaving a Yelp review that says 1 star, would give 0 if possible, warning that under this ruling, the government could now replace any Motel 6 with a Ritz-Carlton, based purely on which one generates more tax revenue. She was right. Also, as someone currently living in something that makes a Motel 6 look like the Ritz-Carlton, I find this hypothetical personally threatening. Here's the beautiful irony of corporate corruption. Pfizer never built the project. The company pulled out. The land sat empty. Suzette Kelo's entire neighborhood got bulldozed for nothing. All those families displaced. All that legal precedent established. All that obvious corruption exposed in open court for a piece of empty land that now has a memorial to eminent domain victims. But the precedent remained. 5 unelected judges rewrote the Fifth Amendment without going through the whole tedious constitutional amendment process, where you need Congress and state legislatures and such. They just decided public use now means public benefit, which means economic development, which means whatever the government says it means. Words don't mean things anymore. The Constitution is now whatever 5 people say it is. Speaking of grandfather issues, Elon Musk's grandfather was a guy named Joshua Haldeman. In the 1930s in Canada, Joshua was a prominent member of something called Technocracy Inc. This was a movement that believed engineers and technicians should run society instead of politicians. Democracy is inefficient. Technical experts should allocate resources based on scientific management principles, not citizens through voting. Efficiency über alles. Literally, some of them were pretty open about admiring certain European efficiency movements of that era, if you know what I mean. And if you don't know what I mean, it's the ones with the Hugo Boss uniforms and the efficiency camps. Now, flash forward to 2026. Elon Musk is building infrastructure where AI systems control resource allocation. Technical experts, just algorithmic ones. Data centers get priority access to power and water over actual human residents. Scientific resource management. Corporations can seize property through government force, bypassing democratic processes. And it's all justified by efficiency. Peter Thiel openly quotes Curtis Yarvin, who advocates for what he calls neo-monarchism, but what normal people call corporate dictatorship. Mark Andreessen publishes manifestos about AI systems replacing markets for resource allocation. They're not hiding what they're building, they're telling you. A world where technical efficiency matters more than human rights. Where AI decides who gets power and water. Where citizens can't vote their way out because technical experts know better. This isn't conspiracy theory. Technocracy Inc. was real. Joshua Haldeman was really a member. The movement really advocated for exactly this system. And his grandson is now one of the richest men in the world, building exactly that infrastructure. The playbook was written in the 1930s. It's being executed now, and they're using eminent domain to do it. They're building water-intensive data centers in deserts, while the Great Lakes region sits there holding 84% of North America's fresh water going, hello? Anyone? It's like opening a seafood restaurant in the Sahara, except the Sahara has better zoning laws. The part where they're building water-sucking facilities in the desert.
Hello out there in internet land. I'm Lily, the editor at The Wise Wolf, and I just wanted to steal a moment of your time to urge you to subscribe to our god-awful channel. Otherwise, my professor is going to press charges for breaking into his office to shoot this clip. Thanks. Bye now.
Building these massive water-consuming facilities in places that are already experiencing water shortages. It's like opening a seafood restaurant in the Sahara. Technically possible, but why? Georgia is hot and humid. I know about hot and humid. I'm living it right now in this room where the temperature is, please God, make it stop. The state has been fighting water wars with Alabama and Florida for decades. There isn't extra water just lying around. But Project Nightingale is going to consume massive amounts of it anyway for 830 acres of data processing. Because 330 families who live there needed to make room for the servers. Nevada. They're building data centers around Lake Tahoe. In the desert. Lake Tahoe is experiencing permanent drought conditions. It's a desert. This is not surprising. Energy prices have jumped 77% since 2022. Also not surprising when you're stealing 75% of the available electricity. But sure, let's build water-intensive data centers there. Let me tell you about what Utah just approved. Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank just got approved for a 40,000-acre data center. That's 62 square miles, roughly the size of Washington, D.C. This facility will consume 9 gigawatts of power. The entire state of Utah currently uses 4 gigawatts annually. Kevin's data center will use more than double what every home, business, hospital, and school in Utah uses combined. Oh, and they want to cover another 40,000 acres of the Great Salt Lake in solar panels to power it. That's 16% of the lake's northern arm, the lake that's already down more than 20% and shrinking. So they're going to cover a dying lake in solar panels to power a data center the size of Washington, D.C., in the high desert, where water is scarce and getting scarcer. You know what would make actual sense? The Great Lakes region. The Great Lakes hold 84% of North America's surface freshwater. That's not a typo. 84%. Lake Superior never gets above 55 degrees Fahrenheit even in summer, which means your cooling costs drop dramatically. Something I would appreciate right now as the fan continues its impression of a dying helicopter. Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota have abundant hydroelectric power, cheap renewable energy, cold climates, plenty of available land. But you don't see 40,000-acre data centers going up around Lake Superior. You don't see massive facilities getting built in Wisconsin. You don't see Michigan giving away 830-acre plots. Why not? Because Great Lakes states have environmental regulations. They have unions. They have politicians who aren't completely for sale. They won't use eminent domain to steal property for private corporations. They won't let companies just redirect public utilities away from residents. So, corporations go shopping for compliant governments. They find politicians in Georgia, Nevada, and Utah who will use eminent domain, redirect power grids away from residents, waive environmental protections, hand out massive tax incentives, all in exchange for campaign contributions and vague promises of future jobs that may or may not materialize. Remember Pfizer and New London. The 12-step program for stealing your house. The Kilo corruption wasn't some one-off aberration. It's the template. Every single one of these data center projects follows the same pattern. It's like they all went to the same seminar. Corporate Theft 101, using government as your personal real estate agent. 5 legal arguments can stop these takings, and the first one is so simple, a 5th grader gets it. If it's public use, why are there armed guards? The government has been avoiding this question for 19 years, probably because the answer is, it's not public use and we've been lying. Step 1. Corporation identifies land it wants. Step 2. Corporation identifies local politicians who appear purchasable. This step is easier than you'd think. Step 3. Campaign contributions flow. Step 4. Local politicians create or gain control of a development authority or similar governmental body. Step 5. Corporate executives or their proxies sit on that authority. Just like how Pfizer's VP George Milne sat on New London's development board. Step 6. The authority declares the project serves economic development and therefore provides public benefit. Step 7. Eminent domain gets deployed. Step 8. Properties get seized. Step 9. Land transfers to the corporation, usually for $1. Step 10. Corporation gets massive tax exemptions for 10 to 20 years. Step 11. The public pays for all the infrastructure upgrades. Step 12. Corporation keeps all the profits. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is their actual business model. It's written into their development agreements. You can FOIA these documents. Billionaires figured out they don't need to buy land at market rates anymore. They just need to capture local government, buy the politicians legally through campaign contributions, control the development authority, get eminent domain deployed, and the courts say it's all legal because 5 justices said so in 2005. Here's what everyone needs to understand. It doesn't have to stay legal, because there are arguments that can beat this. How to stop this? After Kilo, the public lost their minds. People across America were furious that the Supreme Court had legalized theft. So 44 states, 44, passed laws restricting eminent domain for private development. The backlash was massive and bipartisan, because people really don't like it when the government can steal their house to give it to Pfizer. Georgia passed restrictions, Nevada passed restrictions, Utah passed restrictions, but they're being violated because corrupt officials count on citizens not knowing about these laws. Here are the 5 legal arguments that can stop this. Lawyers, use all of them. Argument number 1, the kill shot. Make the government prove the public can actually use these data centers. If it's public use under the 5th Amendment, then open the gates. Let the public walk in. Let them use the computing resources. Let them access the facilities their tax dollars subsidized and their property rights sacrificed for. They can't do that. There are armed guards. Access is restricted to corporate employees only. You will be arrested if you approach the fence. So where exactly is the public use? Compare these data centers to actual public infrastructure. Public roads, the public drives on them. Public schools, the public learns in them. Public libraries, the public walks in and uses them. Data centers, corporations profit from them. The public is explicitly excluded by armed guards. This argument forces the government to either admit the data centers aren't actually public use, which means the takings are unconstitutional, or prove the public can use them, which they can't because armed guards. Argument number 2. State law violations. These takings violate the laws that 44 states passed specifically to prevent this exact thing from happening. Each state's post-Kelo legislation prohibits eminent domain for private development. The statutes are sitting right there. Argument number 3. The McDonald's test. If job creation alone justifies eminent domain, then government can seize any property for any business. McDonald's creates jobs. Does that mean government can seize your house to build a McDonald's? This is exactly what Justice O'Connor warned about in her Kelo dissent. Argument number 4. The Supreme Court changed. All 5 Kelo majority justices are gone. The current court is significantly more protective of property rights. Justice Clarence Thomas is still on the court. He dissented in Kelo. He already said this type of taking violates the Constitution. Argument number 5. Arbitrary and capricious. These takings are arbitrary and capricious, which violates due process. The location decisions aren't based on resource optimization or public need. They're based on political corruption and which state governments are most willing to sell out their citizens. Georgia, Nevada, and Utah are terrible locations for data centers. Hot climates, water scarcity, stressed power grids. These are literally the worst places you could build water-intensive, power-hungry facilities. Meanwhile, the optimal locations, Great Lakes region, aren't seeing these projects because those states won't use eminent domain for corporations. A broke journalist with no car and broken teeth just figured out the constitutional argument that can stop all of this. Lawyers in Georgia, Nevada, and Utah, the blueprint is right here. File it. Yes, I'm aware this sounds insane. So does Pfizer executives can steal your house because jobs. Yet, here we are. What lawyers need to do. Georgia lawyers. 330 families getting displaced for Project Nightingale. Contact them. Make these arguments under Georgia's post-Kelo laws. Nevada lawyers. 49,000 residents getting their electricity redirected to data centers. That's a functional taking. Challenge it. Utah lawyers. Kevin O'Leary's 40,000-acre approval appears to have violated due process. Multiple sources report the decision was already made before the public hearing. Property rights groups need these legal arguments. Lawyers in Georgia, Nevada, and Utah need to know this exists. State legislators who passed anti-Kelo laws need to know they're being violated. You know someone who knows someone. Send it. The corporations stealing houses have unlimited PR budgets. We have you clicking a share button.